Welcome to a pencast on fiscal policy. This will have to be broken down into parts. So what is fiscal policy? Well, this definition does describe it. Basically, it's the use of government revenue and expenditure to stabilise the business cycle, our old friend, we know about the business cycle, and to achieve economic and social goals. For instance, an economic goal is to have baby boomers, that's people of my generation, pay for their retirement while they're still working. To do that, the government has set up the New Zealand Super Fund and was, before the global financial crisis, making an annual contribution of about $2 billion every year. So that's why the government, in part, is rushing to get back into surplus so that it can continue to make contributions to the New Zealand Super Fund and have baby boomers pay forward for their retirement. All right, okay, well look, there's a lot going on here, so look, I'm just going to turn the page. And now we're going to get into some modelling work. All right, so it's all going to be pretty quick. So what we've got over here is we've got government revenue. We've got government expenditure, and when we take government expenditure away from the government revenue, we end up with a thing called the fiscal balance. Now, let's delve into these. We can get at this one by timesing national income by the tax rate, and this one here has two components, so let's just isolate them. This is government spending on goods and services, yes, our old friend G from aggregate demand. And we've got another friend appearing here, which is transfers. Remember, transfers was first introduced to you when I showed you that little equation for working out disposable income. Have you forgotten? Well, this one here. Oops, sorry. No, okay, I'll just change it around this way. That should be a minus. Okay. Just be careful about that, because I noticed in one of the pencasts I got one of these signs wrong. I think it was this one. I showed it as a minus when really for transfers it should be a plus. All right. Now this Y here is nominal GDP, and this is the tax rate. I won't get into discussion about average propensity to tax or marginal propensity to tax. We'll just call this the tax rate. All right, and so when we do, these things give us that fiscal balance. Now, if government revenue is greater than government expenditure, the balance is going to be a surplus. If it's the other way around, of course, if government revenue is less than government expenditure, then the fiscal balance is going to be in deficit. Yep, you've got it. So, let's go back to this. If the government revenue is greater than the government expenditure, that's what I'm talking about, then we would talk about this as being a fiscal surplus. Great. If, on the other hand, we're talking about this situation, then we'd talk about a fiscal deficit. All right. Well, shall we get in and do a bit of modelling? All right. Well, let's just try it. Just making sure I've got the right colour. So I'm going to write this up here. Get you to do the fiscal balance. Okay, here's the information I'm going to give you. If T equals 0.3, Y equals 1 billion. Oh, that's a big number. G is 20% of Y, and TR is 30% of Y. Find the fiscal balance. That's what's required. Can you do it? Right, well, while you're just doing the calculations, I'm going to try and do something fancy that I saw being done the other day when I saw another Explain Everything clip on economics by accident. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that. No, that's the wrong move. Just keep working away on it. Oh yeah, that's the move. It's a sneaky little move, isn't it? That is fantastic. Just shrink that right down to give me some more working space instead of turning the page. Oh, I'm onto a good thing here. Oh, yesy. Alright, have you done it? Okay, so let's go and have a look. Alright, so just didn't get that. Okay, that'll have to do. Alright, okay, so here we go. So let's work out the value for y times t. So let's just go up here. So what we've got here is y is 1 billion, which is 1,000 million times 0.3. So I reckon that's 300 million. I'm just going to write it as this way, so it's nice and easy to handle. How's that? That's good. Okay, so that's 300 million. By the same process, we can see that G is 200 million, and transfers, what are they? That's going to be 300 million. Take those two away. So what's that fiscal balance going to be? Oh, it's not going to be good, is it? Because it's going to be a fiscal deficit. Yep, a fiscal deficit. Not very good. Why do I say not very good? Well, basically what it means is that if the government doesn't want to increase taxes, doesn't want to reduce the provision of government-supplied goods and services like free health care, if it doesn't want to reduce transfer payments in value or even take some of the transfer payments away, then in New Zealand there is only one option, and the government is going to have to, yes, borrow. So let's just quickly look at the borrowing process. So I'll just change colour and change the page. Right. So here is the government sector, and in here is the Treasury. You can think of the Treasury as being the government's personal firm of accountants, if you like. Now, the government realises that it's got a fiscal deficit of 100 million. All right. And so over here we've got the New Zealand public. So the Treasury sells government bonds to the value of 100 million. So it sells government bonds of 100 million to the New Zealand public. And in return for those bonds, the government gets 100 million in cash. We refer that as a bond tender. This time we'll go and have a look at some bond tenders. If you're really interested in this one, then you need to think about taking business finance. It's a little bit more complicated than what I've indicated, but basically that's the process. All right, what's next? Okay. All right. We're making good. Just turn the page. Now, I want you to, we're going to work out what happens to the government's fiscal position when the economy goes into an expansionary phase. So, an expansionary phase, what's going to happen? Well, remember, that business cycle is pretty important, isn't it? Here it is here. And so we're talking about when the government is here, when the economy is here, rather, when the economy is here. So remember, this is real GDP. For working out the government's fiscal position, we're going to be using nominal GDP. All right. Well, let's just go back to our little model. It's a good little model, so we'll put it together. Fiscal balance. All right. Well, can you see what's going to happen? The tax rate's not going to change. The government usually doesn't want to change its spending plans. Okay. But the good news is that the national income is going to go up, isn't it? Not only that, the unemployment level is going to be very low. So payments under the unemployment benefit are not going to be large. And so we can show that this transfer is going down. And so that means that fiscal balance will trend towards a surplus. Well, that's increasing. That's increasing income. Income is going up, and here expenditure is going down. So that's why, if the government is not already in surplus, it certainly will be. All right. So what about the opposite case though? What about where, unfortunately for us, the economy is coming down here? We're going through a recessionary phase. All right. We'll just turn the page. That's what we've got here is a recessionary phase. A recessionary phase. All right. So again, we just put in a little model. Fiscal balance. Oops. I didn't want that to happen, can I? I'm just going to have to leave that there, guys. I tried to be smart with this thing, but it didn't work. Right, so maybe I can do a bit of this. Alright. Okay, so what's the story going to be? Well, that's not going to change. The tax rate's not going to change, but national income is going to come down, isn't it? Usually government spending doesn't change because their plans are set in the budget each year. But what's going to happen is that there's going to be an increase in the level of unemployment. So therefore, more unemployment benefits are going to be paid out to people, providing they qualify. So the transfer payments are going to go up. So what's going to happen to the fiscal balance? Well, the fiscal balance will trend toward a deficit. Why? Well, over here we've got income going down, and here we've got expenditure going up. So here's a question for you. Question. Why do you think governments like economic growth? That's the question. Why do governments like economic growth? Well, in one sentence, can you give me the answer? Can you tell me why? It's simply this, isn't it? Economic growth makes a government's job easier. That's why governments prefer economic growth. They don't have to think about putting up the tax rate. They don't have to think about reducing government expenditure. They don't have to think about taking away transfer payments or reducing them in payout value. It just makes things so much easier. All right, well, I think one more. Okay, one more.